What is going on, everybody? I just switched internet in between trying to come live. I don't know why I made me switch them because I have two different internets and I don't know what happened, but you can hear me, right, Steve?
I hear you loud and clear, bro.
All right. Shout out to everybody in the chat already. What is going on? For those who don't know, I go by Philly Mike, host of the Philly Talk podcast. And today is another episode of Battle Birds podcast. Philly Fresh is on vacation, and I'll take the responsibility. I didn't let him know that we were going on early Sunday, and he planned for a later one Sunday, so it's my fault. I dropped the ball on that one. But go ahead, Gate City, take it over.
What's going on, everybody? Steve, Gate City Sports Talk. All right. A couple big things broke from camp today. I think it's just best. Let's just go ahead. Let's rip the Band-Aid off, guys. Let's talk about it. Number one, I believe it was a Carson at lower body soft tissue damage, right? My stance on Carson is they're just being cautious. I don't really think that's that big a deal. I think that's to be expected when you don't have OTAs and stuff like that these guys are going to have soft tissue injuries. And I think a conservative approach to those right now is probably the right thing, because what you don't want to do is create a nagging, lingering situation with those type of injuries. The Jalen Reagor situation, to me, I think is a little more serious. I said right from the start, man. I like the talent behind Jalen Hurts, but he's a 1 to 2 read quarterback, and he's got a lot of growth, right? I told Mike, you remember, I told people are a little crazy thinking Jalen Hurts can outcompete Carson Wentz at this stage. It's like he's nowhere near that yet. We saw a situation to where he made a bad read. He got picked off by Will Parks. And then Jalen Reagor, being Jalen Reagor, is treating this like, we're playing in the Super Bowl and he's got to go get the ball back. And he gets injured trying to make the tackle. That's the hard thing when you deal with these type of things. Is the only advice I can give here, guys, is you got to stay patient. I don't know the severity. I'm pretty sure at this point the Eagles organization really doesn't completely understand the severity yet. That takes time and testing to really get information out on. I'm pretty sure right now everybody's kind of doing the due diligence when it comes to these type of things, and they're probably looking it over. I will say this is where I think it helps that we added a lot of speed, because if you don't have that speed element, you don't have their guys behind them pushing, this could have been a disastrous level injury. Right now, Jalen Reagor is clearly better than the other two rookies. He's further ahead of them in the route running. He's dynamic, so he's not just a deep threat. He can work the middle. I don't know that the other two guys have that complete ability yet, but we didn't lose speed element. We still got a lot of guys out here who can run. I know that you got me real quick, Mike, and you were like, yo, Gate, did you hear? What are your thoughts, man?
I just don't understand why they're allowing someone to tackle a player on that type of play. Again, offensive players don't do the boatload of tackling. So, and if I'm the people at the scrimmage, I'm simply blowing the play dead as soon as Will Parks picks it off. Okay, it's a scrimmage still. It's training camp. Someone gets intercepted, blow the play dead. It's dead. Good job. Go to the next play. That's it. I'm not having him. I know Jalen Reagor wants to go, like you said, being Jalen Reagor, trying to show that he belongs in the NFL, wants to, make the hit. But now I don't know the severity of this, but, wrist, arm, shoulder, I don't know. But going back into the locker room 14 days until week 1 is not a good sign for a receiver. You know what I mean? You need your hands.
Can I tell you the beautiful parody of it, though, Mike? What do we always get on Carson Wentz for? Live to play another what?
Live to play another down.
Right? What does Jalen Reagor do? In a game, a scrimmage, a rep that doesn't matter, you get a little banged up trying to make the play.
Correct.
I mean, the parity between these two is, when I say that this is the perfect marriage, it's the perfect marriage between player and player. I mean, to be real.
Yeah.
I mean, they both have that fight in them, man. They can't help themselves. Neither one of them can help themselves, man. They think every play is the last play of the season and everything hangs on this one play. That's just the mentality that those two guys have.
Yeah, and it's a great mentality to have, but come on, man. This is crazy. It's just the Philadelphia way. I mean, since the Super Bowl, we cannot breathe without something happening. I mean, offensive line, 2 injuries there, and now a guy that we're going to hopefully count on a lot, especially with Alshon not being here for the first half of the season. I mean, Jalen Reagor's to me, he's a starter. You know what I mean? He's a starter, whether it be in the slot or the X position sparingly. He's a starter, and I just can't wait to get the actual news on. Hopefully, it's not that bad. Wrap it up and come back in because, I mean, I'm tired of the bad news. It's just horrible.
My gut instinct is he's going to be perfectly fine, but I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physical therapist. I don't even play one on television, so I don't know, to be honest. But he the little bit of the clip I saw of it, he looked okay to me. Just looked like he got a little banged up from it. I mean, look, how many guys get taken to the ground and get the air, and it looks a lot worse than what it is. I mean, you get the air taken out of you. Sometimes it looks really bad, and all it is you got your air knocked out. So, I mean, hard to say. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just kind of have to let it play itself out. And we'll have to, you deal with it. You cross that bridge as you get there. I mean, yeah, but we've had a bad run of this stuff, man. We've definitely had a bad run of injuries. No doubt about it.
Yeah. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Appreciate all you guys. Joseph Vega, Be More Philly, Brokey 711, Bob, all you guys. If I haven't got to them, we're going to try to get to some of these questions as well. Quez Watkins didn't practice for the second straight day. I'm not really sure what's wrong with him, but I think it's more of like, it's nothing that's going to keep him out for the season opener. But like I said, we got to get the news back on Jalen Reagor. If anybody gets the update while we're on here about Jalen Reagor, definitely let us know in the chat. Shout out to Jalen Williams in here, channel member to both channels. Appreciate you guys. But yeah, Gate, what do you think about the car? So you said to you, the Carson Wentz thing is just a precautionary.
That's what it seems like to me. Soft tissue. Why run the risk of agitating something like that? You know what I mean? Especially with your starting quarterback. I mean, are we really thinking Carson needs this many reps? He needs to get in timing and rhythm. But timing and rhythm happens faster than people think. Yeah, there's going to be some subtle changes to the offense, and getting that working is important, but he doesn't need to be out there taking 90% of the snaps at this stage in his career. I don't think that's what it is. I mean, honestly, if I was Carson and I'm the coaching staff, I'm more concerned about getting him involved in film, working on subtleties with his mechanics. Because I'll be honest with you, as a guy who played the position before, I've breaking down film on Carson before, and I called him out. Sometimes his mechanics are off. His footwork gets off, right? He starts leaning a little back on one foot, too far up on the dot on his up front foot. And that causes you to be all over the place. So it'll cause you to sail the ball. It'll cause you to throw it into the ground. Like he has little footwork issues. But to be honest with you, I'm more concerned about the offensive line, Mike. I'm going to be honest. You give any quarterback of Carson Wentz's talent level time to throw the football, they're going to look good.
Mm-hmm.
If he's constantly facing pressure, he's going to underperform. It's just the way it is. And to me, I'm going to be honest. I don't trust. I know I'm probably going to get killed by some people for this one because I know some people love this guy, but I don't trust Mailata. I don't think he should be on the football team. I think wasting time and space right now with Mailata.
Yeah, I was just going to transition to that because the beat writers that I follow were just talking about it all through this practice, that Josh Sweat was not only beating up Mailata, but he was beating up Matt Pryor. They said that with whoever lined up against Josh Sweat, whether it was Matt Pryor or Mailata, could not stop him. Just constant pressure. They said Matt Pryor looked really bad today. Again, that is the two people we're talking about to possibly play the position. I mean, Mailata sound confident in his little press conference, but I mean, of course you're going to talk highly about yourself. I mean, who wouldn't?
The one thing I will say in Pryor's defense is he hasn't been primarily playing and getting reps on that left tackle, even on the left side. You know what I mean? Like, I do expect there to be a transition there, and I do expect there to be some headaches there. And Josh Sweat is looking really good, to be quite honest. I think you got to go get a veteran, man. I think you got to go get a veteran. I don't think you need to go trade. I think that there are a few guys still on the market we could go get that I think could make contributions for the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think they could be pretty good. But I do think that we absolutely 100%, you've got to go get a guy. You have to go get yourself a veteran and ensure yourself, or else it could get ugly, man. I mean, you can't take gambles with your offensive line because that'll derail the season quickly.
Hold up. KO React says just got the word that Reagor is going to miss most of the season. So if they're saying that, that means they know what the injury is. What is the actual injury? I know it's either wrist, arm, hand, something along them lines. But KO, let us know what you know, because that is not what I wanted to hear at all. Like I said, we got problems on the O-line. We don't need the problems to move over to the wide receiver. We do got guys like Deshaun's still here. We got Quez and John, but I was expecting big things from Jalen Reagor, and I just want to know what the exact injury was. If anybody knows the exact injury, let us know in here, because I'm not really following
that yet. But I don't know. Maybe it's a local station or something.
But yeah, so do you have any particular names in mind that we could get that's in for left tackle?
For a left tackle? Yeah, I mean, definitely. I'll give you a guy that I think could have some use to them. I mean, this isn't a big name, but he was good at one point in his career, which is Cordy Glenn. Cordy Glenn at one time at Buffalo was one of the better left tackles in the game. He's also got some experience playing tackle and guard. So he could play that guard or tackle role. He's not a surefire starter, but he's a guy that will compete for starting reps. You get what I mean? Like, it doesn't necessarily mean that Matt Pryor or someone else won't earn that job, but at least you get a veteran backing you up that can play guard or tackle. I would be in favor of Cordy Glenn. You got other veteran guys out there that they're not, these are not big names guys. These are just solid guys that can maybe contribute for you. You got guys like Marshall Newhouse. Marshall Newhouse has been around the league for a while. You could definitely look at guys like that. I just think you need to find someone who's not a star but competent and can keep things from becoming disastrous. Because if you trade for a top-notch player, it's going to cost dearly. Mm-hmm. It's going to be really expensive.
Yeah. And some of these guys, if you get a guy who's just a solid guy, maybe he just fits the system well. He's playing alongside a talented offensive lineman when it comes to Kelsey and these guys. I still trust our O-line coach, one of the best in the game. But yeah, I don't feel comfortable going in with Matt Pryor and or Malata. Like you said, 3-year project. Now I understand that he's never played the game of football and you just picked him up because of his size and speed and all that. But that doesn't automatically mean you're going to be able to be a offensive lineman. It takes a lot of technical stuff, and he doesn't look like he got it. I'm hoping that Sweat is playing really good. Guys like Josh Sweat and Joe Osman. But if these guys are not playing that good and they're just beating up the line because it's that line, then
Jalen. Good point. Good point. I know guys won't like this name, but I'm 100% with you, Jalen. Kyle Long, if he wants to still play. He's definitely been banged up and injured, but when that guy is on the field and he's healthy, he's a good player. He's a good, solid football player. He's got a lot of injuries. Yeah, he's got a lot of injuries and he's missed a lot of time, no doubt. But you're not going to get the perfect player at this stage. You're just not. You know what I mean? You got to get a guy that can surprise you, right? At this point, you just need a guy that can surprise you. I do like Cordy Glenn though a lot too, guys. I'm definitely in favor of that move as well.
So, like you said, they're talking about MRI, and he said it's shoulder. So there's no news yet. So God, please be with us on this MRI, please. But yeah, and if you get one of these guys who are veteran, it shouldn't cost you much. It's like putting a Band-Aid over it until we figure something out.
But do we know that about Cordy Glenn? Cordy Glenn was a high-level player at one point, and it does shock me he's still on the market because he's only like 29, 30. So he's not like over the hill for an offensive lineman. He's got another 3 to 5 years at least. You know what I'm saying? He could play at a fairly high level. And he's still in the market. So I'm wondering, is it just that the right team that's a competitor maybe hasn't approached him? Maybe that would bring him and say like, oh, man, I wasn't expecting the Eagles to get involved. So, that's a whole different situation. Let me ask you a question, Mike. Would you just do the simplest answer and just pay Peters more?
Yeah. If you watch, again, that's what all the beat writers are saying. After watching this practice, now you got to try to get Jason Peters to play left tackle. That's my first thing, because, again, Matt Pryor, although he got that, like Jalen said, his feet are too slow, he can't play left tackle. You got to be he's not athletic enough to do that. But I still do believe for the game against the Seahawks, the game against the Giants, when he came in to replace Brandon Brooks, he did a good job at right guard. So I'm cool with Jason Peters at left tackle and Matt Pryor at right guard, and then you can still have the Prince Tegas and Jack Driscolls to be like swing tackles and some, or backups. But I'm not cool with Matt Pryor at left tackle.
You got no faith in Matt? Come on, man. Nah, I got more faith in Matt Pryor at right guard. I think Matt Pryor's a guard. I think if you played him at right tackle, I think Matt Pryor could hold his own. But I'm a little scared with his. I'd have to. We really need to get Jalen on here to really break down some line play stuff for us. But I'm a little concerned with his footwork when it comes to the left side. Because Jalen can tell you, it doesn't take as long as some people might think to change that stuff up. But there is a difference when you're working with a different dominant leg and dominant hand. It is a little different. Some guys are way faster at adapting that muscle memory than other guys are. But I think Jalen told me one time, like, ideally most NFL level talent guys, within 6 weeks, they should have it down pat. However, how many weeks away are we again, Mike?
2.
Exactly. That's the other side of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we want this to get flushed out in week 4.
But like you said about getting a veteran guy in here, even if we sign Jason Peters, if we pay him more to play left tackle, we still got to get a guy because Peters hasn't been the healthiest person. He's a guy who also get injured a lot. So, week 6, he's banged up. What are we going to do? Put Mulata in? Move Matt Pryor from right guard to left tackle? What are we going to do at this situation?
I would move. I think Driscoll has the most natural body movement of those guys. Like, you're just watching him a little bit. I think he moves more naturally than the other guys do. Prince Tega, I love a lot. I think this kid's going to be good, but I do think that he's definitely a project. He's not a Mulata level project, though. He's not that, but he's definitely a project. Outside of that, man, Mike, do you have any faith at all in Mulata? Do you think Mulata can line up at left tackle against the Washington Redskins?
No. Again, if Joe Osman is as good as Chase Young, then maybe that's why he was getting beat, but I don't think that's the case. So, hey, I'm really concerned about the left tackle. And if Jason Peters plays it, I'm not as concerned, but I can't count on him being here for 17 weeks, playing 16 games. He hasn't done it in the last couple years. So I'm with you. Go out there and get a veteran guy who's not good, but understands the game, can help out. Under Jeff Stoutland, maybe he does a little bit better. We got to go get somebody. We cannot go into the season with Peters as a left tackle, which we have to do that now. I think it's evident that we need to bring him at left tackle. Okay, bump him up. What is he making? $3 million, you said?
Yeah. So he's guaranteed 3 with, I think, a chance to escalate up to 6. But you're going to have to, I think you got to guarantee him around 6. I think it's what he wants, to guarantee around 6, probably. I think Jalen has the right idea here. I'm reading his comment right here in front of me, guys. He says, honestly, I think you have to give Peters that raise and sign Cordy Glenn. That's exactly what I would do, too. That's exactly what I would do. I would give Peters the raise, as long as the raise isn't crazy. If he's asking like 15 mil, no. But if it's within reason, just give him the money. And then, yes, I would go get a guy like Cordy Glenn to back up everything, because if you got a Cordy Glenn, you got a Jack Driscoll, and then you got what's his name, the kid that plays center and guard. I always mix him up. What the hell is his name, man? Always mix him up, Mike.
Plays guard?
I can't think of his name. Yeah, plays center and guard. I'm constantly mixing his name up, man.
Isaac?
No, that's not Suamalu. No, this is a backup, man. He was an undrafted rookie free agent.
Oh, Prince Tega?
No, not Prince Tega. He was a draft pick this year. Give me a second. I'll find it, man. He's on the roster. Somebody's already commented, I guarantee you. Nate Herbig. There we go. An hour later. Yeah. If you got Nate Herbig, you got Cordy Glenn, and you got Jack Driscoll, thank you, Jalen. If you got those 3 guys, then I think you're okay. I think you can make it. Because Peters is going to miss time. Look, I love Kelsey, but Kelsey's not a guarantee either at this stage of his career either. It's possible he might end up missing some time. Lane Johnson's been in and out. Like, you're going to need 3 guys that can come in and play if you need them to. I mean, to be honest, especially with the uncertainty of this offseason, man. Like, this offseason's, you know what I mean? Like, who knows? Who really knows?
Yeah, I agree. Like you said, a couple months ago, we were not worried about the offensive line really at all. You know, we thought Andre Dillard could come in and have a bright future, not right away be that Hall of Famer that Jason Peters was. But Andre Dillard showed pretty good stuff last year, except for the bull rush. You know, he put the 20 pounds on. We got Lane Johnson, Brandon Brooks shoring up that right side. Jason Kelsey's back. And now look at our offensive line. 2 people down, and we're talking about going out and getting a guy who's a veteran for the minimum just to have some depth. It's dangerous, man. Carson Wentz needs to stay upright in 2020, and the people who got to do that are dropping like flies.
All right, let me get to a hot topic because we're on the offensive line, and this impacts the offensive lines. We're talking about overall projections for the roster at 53. That you can call 2 players up from the practice squad, but you have to set an original 53 first. So, real quick, Mike, Adrian Killens, on or off?
The team?
That's a hard one, right?
It is, especially with the offensive line now. It's like, I mean, so that 55-man roster, it's not fully 55. It's like you can keep them on like an IR thing for the COVID-19. That's what that's called. Like,
so you set an original 53-man roster, and then the course of the year, you can call up 2 players from your practice squad to serve as a 55. But it's a little unclear. I think you have to release them following the game, and you can do that twice without them being exposed to the waiver wire. Well, once you do it a third time, then they're exposed to the waiver wire. There is an active 48, so they increased the active roster from 46 to 48 on game day, but one of those 48 players must be an offensive lineman.
Gotcha. Well, and we're going to need it to be an offensive lineman.
Yeah, but, definitely.
Killens it's close. Like, I like what Philly Fresh says. He says, if there was 54 guys that could make it, he might make it. He's like right on that bubble. I believe that Doug and them like him. Like Philly 500 says, you don't go ahead and give people nicknames if you're just going to cut them. That's a Philly 500 thing, the whole AK. I don't know. I mean, the running backs, Corey Clement's looking pretty good. I wasn't that high on him, but Elijah Holyfield's getting burned. It's going to be tough. And like you said, prior to this video, we got a lot of guys who can do special team things like Jalen Reagor, if healthy, John Hightower, Quez Watkins. They got a lot of guys back there returning kicks and stuff. Even Corey Clement was in the return game helping, even though that's how he got hurt. So with all that, I mean, I would love for the guy to get on the team. I don't want him to get picked up by somebody else, but it's going to be a close one.
So I think it's 50-50. I think he's at a 50-50 juncture in this. I think the Eagles want to keep him. They want to keep him within the organization somehow. But my question is, will you ever have a better opportunity to make a roster as a running back than you do right now for the Eagles within the next 3 to 4 years? Because Miles, Boston Scott, like those guys are all underneath contract. Like you got Corey Clement, who's looked really good in camp. I think Corey Clement has cemented himself as being on this roster this year. But if you can't beat out Michael Warren, if you can't beat out Elijah Holyfield, do you think that there's ever going to be, unless one of these guys suffers an injury or something and it just makes his pathway more clear to be a 4th guy, do you think there will ever be a clearer pathway to the roster for him?
I see your point there. I mean, again, it's just the size. The size is the hard thing to get over. I mean, What is he? I mean, he's been listed as so many different weights now. I think they just trying to like throw a little weight on him just to make it feel good. I don't even know what he weighs at this point. I heard rumors he got up to like 170 something. Someone said 180. Someone said he's still back at 160 something. I don't know what he is.
I heard he's in the mid 170s. I heard he's, generally speaking, he's like 5'5", 5'6", in the mid 170s. Which, to be honest, if you're that height and you're 175, you got some build to you. Like, you definitely got built to you at that height, at that weight. I mean, think of that. What was Darren Sproles? Almost 200 pounds at that height. Think of
Yeah,
that
he was
dude was
like,
a bowling ball, man.
yeah. And that's the biggest thing. People say, what about Darren Sproles? The dude was like 190 something. Yeah, he was small in height, but he was 190 is still pretty good. I mean, you want your guy to be in the 200s if he's going to get a bulk of the carries, but that's why Darren Sproles was never that guy who ran the ball 25 times. He was your gadget type guy. But shout out to Joseph Vega for the super chat, my guy. He said, Philly Mike, Andre Dillard is trash. He is soft. He isn't going to work out for us. Jordan is no good. Hasn't picked up on the game yet. Has to go. Killing stays. And so came like I said, I won't say that Andre Dillard is a full bust yet. I mean, it's disappointing that he's hurt, but I saw good things come out of him. Yeah, he got to shore up that bull rush. He got to get, as you would say, not being soft. But I think there's talent there. But now with the no training camp this year, the fact that he's injured, he might, I don't know how he's going to be for next training camp. He's stacking the odds against him. He's making his chances a lot harder, so it's going to be tough. But yeah, Killins is a fan favorite, and maybe just because the fan favoritism, he might slip in there. It's like Gate City said, Gate City got it at 50-50, and I'm right with them. It's hard. I see reasons why he should make it, but then I see reasons why we might need to stack up on receivers.
Yeah. So there's a couple things I want to chime in on here. Number one, Jalen. Jalen, you know I'm a sucker for Manasseh Bailey. If I was on this coaching staff, that would 100% be my project. I love that kid's talent. And I know that he's probably not ready to compete for a roster spot right now. I would have that kid on the practice squad if I was on the coaching staff, because I see, like, as a guy who coaches receivers, I see something there. There's something there about this kid. Like, that 90-yard touchdown, like, that's just thankfully, finally, we got to see what this kid can do, because he's a little weird, man. He's kind of the most similar guy I could think of that to compare him to on the Eagles roster is Reagor. Not that he's anywhere near Rager's talent level and skill set yet, but body structure, the way they play the game, there's some similarities there. I would love to have this kid, the practice squad to work on. He's a guy that you give him a year or two, he could be a Greg Ward type, a guy that one day you just shows up in a preseason game, you're going, man, why hasn't this guy been on the roster for like over a year now? Like, what? Like, he's one of those guys, man, to me. Like, he's got big playability. The kid is a lot faster than a lot of people realize, man. That kid is, just go watch his if he didn't play at Morgan State, he would have gotten so much more hype than he got. Like, that kid, his highlight reel, it's phenomenal. And then I watched a few games of his, like against A&T and a few other guys, like the full games. Like, I was like, whoa, like, holy, kid can play.
Yeah. You hear the buzz going around Deontay Burnett, though. Like, they're saying that he's making it real hard to cut him, to put him on a practice squad.
He's legit. That kid has hands. That kid has really good hands, actually.
So, off the top of your head, what's the number when it comes to wide receivers? 6 or 7?
7.
It's looking more and more like 7, right?
Yeah. I think you almost have to, just because, number one, the struggles we went through last year. Number two, as I look at where you can have the biggest impact, and also, like, just where can you carry other guys on the practice squad, I just think it's a lot easier to carry a 3rd and 4th tight end on the practice squad than carry a 6th or 7th receiver on the practice squad, because some of these guys, I do feel like if you expose them to the waiver wire, especially with the practice squads being expanded, there's a much greater likelihood that some of those guys get claimed. Especially like a Deontay Burnett and those type of guys, like Quez Watkins, Deontay Burnett. Like, if you expose those guys, in my opinion, they're getting snatched up. Now, if they clear the waiver wire, then it's just a bidding service. You could still lose out on them because someone might bid way more than you. I mean, that's when it comes down to the organizations that are really willing to pay for the players. And keep in mind, guys, your practice squad does count against you in terms of your salary cap in season. It's normally incremental. You're not talking about a crap ton of money invested in the practice squad, but when it's 16 players, clearly you're going to have a handful of guys you value more than the other guys. And you're going to pay them more. So it's a matter of who are you going to invest the money in? Which guys are you going to really give that paycheck to keep around?
So everybody in the chat, let us know what you believe when it comes to the wide receivers. Give me the number you think we're going to keep when the season starts week 1. Who will be on the roster? How many? 6, 7, 5? Let us know in the chat. And shout out to all 125 people watching, probably on different channels, because I believe we're still live on Philly Fresh's. So we got this live on 3 channels: Philly Fresh. Make sure you show him some love. Gate City Sports Channel and the Philly Talk Podcast. But let us know how many receivers are going to make the team.
So, Mearslat, if you were talking about when I was talking about Manasseh Bailey is a wide receiver out of Morgan State. He was one of the undrafted rookie free agents we signed. I have a video. If you go back to my catalog, you can see where I broke down film on this kid, and you can see why, like, I'm really high on this kid. And this kid is not ready to compete this year. Like, he's not going to make the roster this year. It's not even close. But me personally, as a guy that loves projects and loves to work on kids, like, there's something there to work with this kid. This kid has real potential. Deontay Burnett, though, I think is just in a different place. Number one, I think Deontay Burnett was actually a draft pick, wasn't he? Mike, wasn't he drafted?
Who?
Deontay Burnett. I don't think he was drafted by the Eagles. Was he drafted, or was he an undrafted rookie free agent a year ago?
We got him off the Jets.
Yeah. So I can't remember, though, if they picked him in the draft or if they signed him as an undrafted rookie free agent. I can't remember if he was a late-round pick or if he was undrafted. But he's ready. Deontay Burnett is ready to contribute on the team. The kid can field punts. He can field punts. He can definitely be your fourth or fifth receiver on a team. No doubt about it. He won't be that on the Eagles. I doubt it unless there's injuries, but kid's got hands, man.
He does. He's not the fastest guy, not the strongest guy, but he got reliable hands, and that will take you far in the NFL. Shout out to Joseph Vega for another super chat. He says Killins is small, so with Sproles, if you put him on the P squad or wave, Andy Reid will get him. He will be a playmaker, and you can't hit what you can't catch. I do see a lot of playmaking skills when it comes to AK-46. Definitely. And I've been on record saying I could see Doug Peterson picking a guy like him up just to use a certain package of plays, not let him run the ball 10 times, 15 times a game, but a couple package plays, some in the slot, some in the backfield, some on special teams. He only needs to touch the ball a couple times to take it to the house. So I do agree with that. Very explosive. We're going to have to see. I do believe he's getting a great chance to make it because of Miles Sanders being hurt. Well, not hurt, but they're taking the precaution on Miles Sanders. Boston Scott hasn't been practicing much. So he's getting more reps because of no Miles Sanders and Boston Scott. So he's getting all the opportunities. So we're going to have to see what happens. But shout out to everybody that said it. 7 or 8 says Rock the Artist. Chris says 7. Mm-hmm. Roma Moore said, hey, we need 8.
We need 8. We have about 9 guys, I think, that can honestly play. But, yeah, I think it'll be 7. Joseph Vega, number 1, man. I know my guy Mike appreciates you, bro, because you're constantly coming in, donating and stuff, man. We appreciate you, bro. Number 2, I will say this, man. I can guarantee you J.J. Arcega-Whiteside is going to be on this roster unless there's trade value, unless you can move him through trade. I think it's the only way that he wouldn't be on this roster. He's looking good in camp. He looks like a different guy out there. He's one of the few guys that you can use as a possession receiver. And look, you're not going to get rid of Alshon unless you know JJ's going to be the guy. Like, and I don't think after this year, I'm not even fully convinced he's going to play for the Eagles. There's a part of me, a small part of me that feels like it's all smoke and mirrors. I feel like they're just trying to drum it up to make it seem like, oh, the injury wasn't as bad as thought. He's ready to play, to try to drum up interest in him. You got to look at it from the perspective of the front office. They're waiting to see people who suffer camp injuries, just like we're suffering them on the line. I won't spike interest in guys. Listen, am I opposed to Alshon being on the roster? No. I think Alshon would be a good complement to what we have. But at the same time, I think you can move on from him. I do. I think Ertz, I think if JJ, kind of pans out, I think it's all there. I think you got the guys to replace the production. And that's the bigger thing, man, is you need conversion target guys. Because that's what Alshon was more than anything. He was a conversion target. Good possession guy.
Yeah, so Rob Thomas, AK-47, I hear you, but he's number 46. That's why I said AK-46. But shout out to all 140 in the chat. Wherever you are watching this, do us a favor. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. We do live streams, we do regularly scheduled programs, and we talk Eagles all day. Also, hit that like button. It's free, it's easy, takes 1 second, and it helps us out.
Victory, that's funny, bro.
What do you say?
He's basically saying that there was 6 sacks. I think Sweat had like 6 sacks or something like that, and like left tackle is just a straight turnstile right now.
Yeah. But Alshon is going to contribute throughout the season once he gets back, but I'm not pressing for him to come back early because we've seen what Alshon looks like when he's trying to deal with injuries and play football. It's okay.
Isaiah Smith, the cap implications go drastically down if you can move him through trade. They will not release him. I agree. Just because even if they gave him a June 1st designation, which would certainly save them money, it's still a pretty big hit. But if you trade him, you save a ton of money.
At least everybody's talking about the MRI, say that the team doesn't believe it's serious, but hey, we know how to misdiagnose some injuries. So
yeah, no kidding. Yeah, who knows what to believe when it comes to our organization?
I mean, Jordan Howard. What was his?
Jordan Howard still just has a slight shoulder sprain.
Yeah,
it's going on the 24th week, but he'll be back next week probably.
Yeah, week to week, 12 weeks later. Oh man, it's just like the practice squad is bigger and you can actually dress someone off it for games. Is it just the practice squad is bigger and you can actually dress someone off for games? Is that what he was talking about for you?
Mike, so the way it works is like you have an original 53-man roster you still have to get down to, but then once you get in season, you can call up 2 players from your practice squad to serve as a 55, and you can do that twice without them being exposed to the waiver wire. In terms of the practice squad, you can carry up to 16 players. So yeah, they expanded it big time. Now, will every team go to 16? I don't know. That's a really good question. I'm not really sure. Look, every guy you add to the practice squad, you got to pay. I mean, people forget that, but you do have to pay them, and it does count against your salary cap in season. It doesn't count off season because they only take you like your top. I think it's like 40 some players actually they take. I don't remember the exact number, guys, but that's what they factor in the off season. But in season, the cap formula is a little different.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to Alshon, if we get him middle of the season and he's healthy and he contributes, that's also helping the receiving core that we need desperate help at. But it's also getting his trade value up. I mean, if he comes in for half a season and balls out, well, then he looks good. If he comes in and gets hurt again, well, then we're definitely not going to be able to trade him. So
yeah,
I think him playing is going to help out a lot just for all scenarios.
Yeah, I mean, luckily, Jalen Hurts, I don't know what the role is going to be for Jalen Hurts, Mike, and I'm a little confused because I don't think the organization is being honest about things. But I will say this. Having someone back there that can play option when you get into red zone situations, and look, it's a risk because Carson Wentz is really good in the red zone. You take him out of the red zone, you're running a risk. But you're also not being as predictable either. I mean, that's the other side to it, right? Is that, hey, you got to really pay attention. Is that Carson or is that Jalen in the game? Might they both be in the game at the same time? You know what I mean? That's a possibility down in the red zone. So I do wonder, like, can we do things to alleviate the offensive line through the running game? I don't think Carson Wentz is brittle, man. I don't want him necessarily taking, headshots out there, but the dude's athletic, man. I mean, to an extent, roll the pocket with them, run some stuff to stop, guys that are getting upfield too fast. Hey, if they want to get up the field fast on you, then start hitting them with screens and stuff. Start destroying them to slow down that pass rush. I mean, there's ways of counteracting that stuff. And I think Doug's pretty good at that. I mean, if you look back at the Bears game, what Doug Peterson did to the Bears, there was, what I'm saying? Like, he sat there like, crap, we're in trouble, man. They're going to bring pressure. But he knew exactly how to counteract it. So I do think, like, some of it comes down to coaching too. Like, don't get me wrong. Am I worried about left tackle? I think you'd have to be a fool not to be worried a little bit at least. You know what I mean? But I also know that there's things you can do within the game plan to slow stuff down like that.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have to leave some of your running backs in the block, chip with tight ends, slide protection to the left side. But still, when you do that, you take away from explosive plays. You keep your running back in. That's one less receiver you got. You chip with your tight end. That's just more slowing his route down. You know what I mean? So you don't want to have to rely on that, but you got to do what you got to do at this point. And the first note of business is get Jason Peters to left tackle. Just do it. You got to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough, man. I see people kind of chiming in on the Killins thing, and it looks like everyone's kind of split on it. Here's my thing. I can tell you that the coaching staff, and I don't know if he's going to be on the roster. I don't get a say in it. You know what I mean? But I know the coaching staff is at least envisioning ways in which they could use the kid. I got to agree. You give someone a nickname, it's important. That means something, right? You know what I mean? Like, they clearly have caught your attention. You know what I mean? I do think it's a little rough because earlier on in the video I made about Killins, I said the easiest path for this young man to make this team is through special teams production. I don't know how much they would consider using him as a punt returner or a kick returner. Maybe that could be his role in the long term. I don't know that he has the ability to be a gunner. I think that's going to go to the defensive backs or a receiver to be a gunner out there, maybe safeties. But there's a lot of guys kind of in and out that makes it hard to figure out. Did you see the first team reps that were being taken at gunner and who they had out there, Mike?
Nah, I didn't see that.
Now, don't get me wrong. They've been going back and forth. I think Marcus Green has even played a little bit as a gunner, but they definitely had Rudy Ford out there, which Rudy Ford makes a lot of sense as a gunner. But, I mean, they've had guys out there like Rasul Douglas, Marcus Epps has been playing some gunner. They've definitely got guys all over the place playing that gunner role. And it does make me curious, who are they going to keep on the roster simply due to special teams production? Because I think sometimes that completely gets left out of the conversation when people are trying to project 53-man rosters. And, if you can, like Craig James, the other day I looked out there, it was Craig James Ford with the first team gunners. Neither one of those guys are locks to make this roster, yet they're taking first team reps at gunner.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I was excited though. I saw Hightower and Watkins were out there. I made a video on that where I got a little excited. I was like, oh crap, look at this. Well, we got Watkins and Hightower out there playing gunner. But they weren't taking the first team reps though.
Yeah. And I don't get the fact that you would have people who are not projected to make the team getting them first team reps. What is going on there? But hey, who knows? There have been people who made a team solely on their special team productions. One of our guys, who was that backup safety that we had for a long time? A white guy, Chris
Maragos.
Yeah, Chris he was a killer on the special teams. I didn't like him when he had to come in to play safety, but really good guy. Always the first one down there to get the tackle. Yeah, man. So still no word on Jalen Reagor, I see. But yes, just to bring it back up for the people who are just getting in here, how are we allowing your first draft pick to tackle a person on an interception, blow the play dead? I mean, exactly. As soon as Will Parks caught the ball, it's a scrimmage. He caught the ball, boop, blow the whistle dead. Talk about the play, do what you got to do. Don't allow Jalen Reagor to go make a tackle. He's not used to it. And it shows the passion, the fire in his game, but it also shows we got to be smarter than that. We got to be better than that. Yeah. Jalen got to be smarter, and the coaching staff can't allow it.
The coaching staff's got to get on things a little more. Some of these injuries, and I don't think the Reagor thing was serious. I can only judge what I saw. And I'll admit, I thought the Avery injury was way worse than it was. I was like, dude, he's done. You remember, I made a video. I was like, he's done. I thought he was done. Just looking at that, it looked ugly. And mind you, I only got a distorted view of it, but I did catch it. I can't remember who had it on Twitter, but someone had it on Twitter, and I saw it. And I was like, whoa, holy, he's done. No way. And then come to find out, was nowhere near as serious as people thought. There was no tear in the ACL, nothing like that. I was like, oh, well, that's good news, but
yeah.
My boy better get out there, though, quickly, because I got to tell you, man, Ostman, Sweat, old boy that we drafted in the 7th round is looking good.
Toohill?
Yeah, Toohill. Hey, man, some dudes are hungry to get on this roster, man. We got some hunger coming on that D line.
Yeah. You're right. I mean, Avery, and this is how I picture Avery. He got the most work with the Cleveland Browns as that stand-up pass rusher in like a 3-4 defense. He's never really been like a 4-3 defensive end, traditional on the line type guy. But I mean, he came to the Philadelphia Eagles for a 4th-round pick, and the very next game he gets a sack. I'm like, "Ooh, I'm loving it." And then we kind of shied away from him the rest of the season, so shout out to him for not getting super hurt. I agree with you. I thought he was done, and he's day to day.
Yeah, exactly. I still don't get that one, man. That looks so gruesome. And then you got even Doug went over to go hug him because everyone thought it was done. Everyone thought that. I mean, the coach went over to go hug him.
Yeah,
like
that was
I
a
felt
goodbye.
bad for Avery. I felt bad for Avery because I'm like, yo, I mean, I think Avery was kind of losing the race there, but he wasn't like that far back where he couldn't recover in the competition. You know what I mean? Like, and I was like, oh man, that's like one of the worst ways you can lose your job is through injury. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just not, that sucks, man. And yeah, Jalen, I agree with you, man. People overreact to it.
Yeah, people, like I said, I saw on Twitter, right? As soon as the news came out that Carson Wentz is out for it would just say lower body injury. Then it came out with the soft tissue thing. They're all like, see, he's hurt already. Like, bro, it's precautionary. It's a rest day pretty much. He's perfectly fine. And I agree 100% with Jalen Williams. That will kind of led the domino effect on Carson Wentz. But with him having one of his second preseason, we don't have preseason, second off season where he could focus on his body and not rehab, Carson Wentz is going to come out with that 2017 mindset. I just feel it.
Hey, Stephen Veal, you got to go on Twitter and follow some of the beat writers for the Eagles and some of the local newspapers and stuff like that. Even some of the national media guys that can, because like they have to rotate when they can get in and what practices they can cover this year. So you got to have a really wide base and cover them. So you got to follow them and then you'll be able to see it. Or sometimes I just go in there and I search the player's name. That doesn't always work though. It only really works if they tag the person. But sometimes you can just search like Avery and then go to videos. You can search like Jalen Reagor and go to videos. You'll see some of it. Sometimes, they're going to tag their names in it. So that'll pop up, but that doesn't always work. Sometimes you have to actually know who to follow. But you gotta have a mix of like beat writers and national, syndicated writers and stuff like that kind of mixed in that you're following.
Yeah, definitely. Follow all them guys like the Mike Kays, the Jeff McClains, the Tim McManuses. You got to get them all because they all normally report the same thing, but some of them get different things and post different things. Boys for Life said, what are your thoughts on Reagor getting a hurt and needing an MRI? Unfortunate. It's something that should have never happened. You don't need your offensive players in practice tackling on an interception. It's simple. But I know you want to come here real quick, try to throw some shade on it. But at least you just came in asking the question. Boys for Life is he's a Cowboy content creator. So shout out to him.
I'm not really worried about the Reagor injury. I think he's fine. Honestly, I mean, it's camp. Things are going to happen, especially on this altered camp schedule. Guys are, look, for me, okay, he got knocked down. He took an MRI. Everything came back negative. He seems okay. Not a big deal. I would be more scared about the soft tissue injuries on skill set players that could become nagging. You start having issues with your quad and your hamstrings, stuff like that. Like that stuff can linger into games and it can mess a person up, i.e. Sidney Jones.
Hey, at least he's back to practicing now, but man, Sidney Jones has been like a really bad experience. I mean, he might not even beat Rasul out like for playing time. Like it's not good.
Yeah. Jalen, I agree with you, man. I'm so not a Twitter guy either. Ask Mike, I'm really not a Twitter guy. I only check it for like the footage of stuff. I'm only Instagram. Like I don't really use Twitter like that either, but
I only got Twitter because everybody on here was like, yo, you got to have a Twitter account. Go do a Twitter account. So my Twitter account started like 3 months after I did YouTube. Once I started getting some subscribers. But yeah, man, I'm just now starting to get the hang of it. But yeah, I definitely wasn't a Twitter guy. But yeah, I believe Wentz is going to be fine. Jalen Reagor, like I said, if anybody knows anything on that when it comes out, let us know if we're still on here. But it is good signs. It is good to hear that the team doesn't think it's serious, but when it's the Philadelphia Eagles, who don't know how to stop a stinger, a week-to-week stinger on Jordan Howard for 2 months.
I think someone did call it out, though. I can't remember who it was, but somebody said, like, if you really look at what happened there, that's not a stinger. Like, he's got nerve damage. Like, something happened. I think someone did call it out. But, yeah, I mean, they're not always the most transparent organization when it comes to injuries, to say the least.
Yeah.
What do you think about Josh Sweat as the fourth defensive end? Someone said that he's playing good, but he's probably only likely going to be the fourth D end.
So you're saying that you think Vinny Curry and Joe Osman are going to get more time than Sweat?
Yeah, I think Sweat will be he'll be your second or your third until Barnett gets back on the field.
Yeah. Well, I'm counting Barnett being there. So I got BG and Barnett being the starters. I got maybe Vinny Curry coming as that third guy. Yeah, so Josh Sweat as the fourth and maybe Osman as your fifth.
I think that's reasonable to start the year with, but I mean, honestly, if Sweat's just out producing Vinny Curry, he's going to move up. Yeah, he's going to take those reps. And honestly, I think that there'll be less reps for the defensive ends, the backup guys, because you're not going to have as many guys bouncing inside as pass rushers.
Yeah, and listen, all the D ends on our team are going to have the easiest time of their life with how dominant the interior is going to be. I mean, the rotation is just great. If we can rotate a healthy Fletcher with a healthy Malik Jackson, Javon Hargrave, and even Hassan Ridgeway, who balled out the limited time he played last year before he got hurt. The rotation to the interior of the D-line is going to help the outside pass rushers. And then, like I said, Sweat roll should increase. Maybe Osman is really that dude, and our offensive line is not as bad as it looks. Who knows? We'll find out week one, though, because the Redskins don't. The Washington football team don't really have a good offensive line, so we should eat against their O-line.
Yeah. So, Vic, you're asking a really good question. I can tell you what my preference is, but the best fit is a really good question, and I won't know that without really breaking down film on each guy and looking into their history. Who have they worked with that maybe has worked with some of our coaches before? I mean, that's a really complex question, but I prefer Cordy Glenn out of those guys personally. That's who I like, because there was a time where he was one of the better left tackles in the game. He's definitely got experience playing guard and tackle. I think he's even got a stretch in his career where they used him in jumbo packages too. So he came in as that, like extra offensive lineman that came in like in a 13-man personnel in a jumbo package and played. So, I mean, I could see that one being a good kind of backup move where the guy he could potentially compete. I really liked Jalen's take on it, though, which is just pay if it's within reason, if it's reasonable, pay Peters, bring in Cordy Glenn. Now I think we're okay. We know Peters is going to miss some snaps here and there. Cordy Glenn should be serviceable at minimal. And then you still got guys like Pryor. You got guys like Driscoll. Yeah, we've got good Herbig. We got decent backups. So then we'll be okay. I just don't trust Mulata. I don't. I'm sorry. I would love to say I trust a guy. I just don't, man. I really don't.
Yeah. I mean, that's perfectly said. If you can pay Jason Peters and sign Corey Glenn, I feel a whole lot better going into week one. I don't feel good at right now with just saying, Sunday practice, let's try Jordan Mulata and Matt Pryor at left tackle, and Josh Sweat is just having a day with him. Like, is there anybody even in front of me?
Yeah, Mulata could be. I mean, look, Mulata could turn out to be really good, or you can turn out to be like fall on your face bad. Like, I mean, to be honest, like it's really hard to say, and I don't want to take a risk of that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to take a risk of that in season trying to find out. Some of you guys were asking about Cordy Glenn. Yeah, he was a second-round draft pick, I think, of the Bills back in like early 2010-ish area, like 2011, 2012, somewhere in that area. He got drafted. He was like a second-round pick.
Yeah, we definitely got to roll Carson Wentz out the pocket a little bit more. That's the main reason we brought Rich Scangnello in. He's going to design more bootlegs, rollouts, and we know that Carson Wentz was number 2 to Russell Wilson on rollout passer rating of like, I forgot what it was, but it was second to Russell Wilson. But especially with this offensive line struggles, we're gonna have to roll some of this stuff out. You know, do certain things, use our running backs, use our tight ends to chip.
On Mulata, preseason, man. I mean, that's all we really have is the preseason. I mean, I definitely can pull film for you guys. If you guys want me to actually do a breakdown on Mulata, I can do one this upcoming week if that's something you guys want. But we're going off of preseason reps, guys. I mean, outside of that, I can give you a little bit of camp stuff, but it just hasn't been good this camp. I mean, it's been up and down. He's had moments of good stuff. I don't want to make it seem like it's only been negative, but he's been wildly inconsistent.
But you think he makes a team solely off what they invested in him already? They invested too much time, so they're just going to keep him on the squad?
So that's a tricky one, man. That's a tricky one, Mike. I can see that. I can definitely see that point where he makes this roster based solely upon that. I can also see them keeping him on the practice squad solely based on that too. I don't know, man. Mike, I have no faith in that guy in a game. I don't, man. Do you remember that game? What was it? We had that offensive lineman we drafted, and we put him in one of the Giants game. And I mean, you talk about being eaten alive. I can't even remember his name anymore. Like, it was during the Trey Thomas era when Trey Thomas went down with an injury. We had drafted a kid in the second round like that year. God, we put him in a game, and you talk about being like lit up. Like, dude, I mean, they were just, you could just count 1, 2, 3, and McNabb was on his back. It was ridiculous. Like, I remember that game. I just can't remember the player, sadly.
He said, Gay said, don't waste your time on a lot of video. You will do better with a black screen. With a blank screen. He froze. Are we good? Is it just Casey froze? Are we all froze? What's going on? Let me know, chat, if I'm frozen or if it's just Casey.
All right. Can you hear me?
City. I don't know what's going on.
Can you hear me, man?
What happened?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe it was that blank screen they were talking about.
Was I froze or were you froze? Or
I don't know. I just I hit my the airplane mode and turned it back on just in case it was me.
They said the audio is messed up. Whose audio is messed up?
It was popping and clicking a second ago. Guys, okay, it's fine now? Yeah. Yeah, it was popping and clicking a second ago. I think it's because, I don't know, something probably had been StreamYard.
All right, so are we good now, guys? Because someone else said raspy, can't hear you, Gate. Can't hear you. Gate is good. So you can't hear me.
I hear you, though.
Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you. I think we're good now. I think some people might be a second or so behind. You know how it does, man. We missed something, too. I see member, but I don't see what happened, guys. I'm so sorry. If we can find it. Okay. Wilford, what's good, man? How you doing, buddy?
Well, yeah, so he definitely joined one of our channel memberships. I'm not sure who it was.
Yeah. Wilford, we're so sorry. Yeah. As soon as you joined, everything went crazy.
Yeah. You made the earthquake happen. But shout out to you for joining either one of our channel members. Appreciate you 100%. Everybody said we're good, so let's get into it. I want to talk about the defensive line one more time. So who do you think as of now is the odd man out when it comes to D-line? Like Sharif? Do you think Joe Osmond makes a team? Do you think Avery, if healthy, does he make the team? Because how many D linemen, defensive ends do you think we're going to keep?
I can see two scenarios playing out, man. I can see 5 D ends, 5 defensive tackles. I can see 6 D ends, 4 defensive tackles. I don't think you go wrong with either way. I can justify either one. Would be fine to me. My gut says, just knowing the Eagles' past history, they might go 6-4. But I'll say this: keep in mind what happened last year in our interior pass rush, and the fact that how many guys we had to go through. they might be a little skittish about that, and they might go 5 defensive tackles. Odd man looking out is a hard question, Mike, because here's the deal. Casey Toohill, do you think that there's enough film out here on him to possibly spike other teams' interest in him?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? So then he might be a guy that you could slip onto the practice squad safely. But now you get into the situation of, to me, I think Osman's probably on. He's probably on the roster. Personally, I think so. So do you want to waste a 4th round pick that you had in Sharif Miller, or do you want to waste a 4th round pick you traded to get Jannard Avery? That's a tough decision.
I'd probably keep Avery though. But
he's injured and he's not competing currently.
Correct, but it's only day to day.
In 12 weeks.
In 12, yeah, day to day. First game is week 15 against whoever. That's crazy. Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. Like you said, I think it's the Toohill, Sharif Miller, and Avery. I think they're the ones fighting to make one of them. One of them three are definitely, or 2 of them 3 are definitely not making it.
Yeah, it's tough to say. I mean, I think Osman personally is on the roster, but to be fair, if you keep Avery, you're probably not going to keep Osman. If you keep Toohill, you know what I'm saying? Like, those guys are really similar in what they can do. I don't think that Toohill, well, honestly, I think you could stand him up. I think he could be a joker. I think you could stand Toohill up as a joker, actually, too. I mean, how many of those type of guys are you going to carry on the roster? I think that might help Sharif Miller, because I think Sharif Miller is more of a, hand in the dirt 3 technique. You know what I'm saying? Like, or not 3 technique. That would be interior. My bad, guys. 5 technique. I think he's more of a traditional pass rusher, defensive end. That's a tough one, Mike. I don't know, man. I honestly don't know, because I've been thinking about making a 53-man roster projection before the first, cuts come along.
I got one of them coming too, and I'm really hatching around that defensive end is a little tough.
That's the one where I can see being completely wrong on it.
But shout out to Jay Koch. He said, I said Joe Osman like 2 months ago, and you guys laughed at me. Hey, maybe I did. Shout out to you for being on the guy who is having a great camp, to say the least. Real quick, shout out to Joseph Vega with another super chat. He said, Doug said Alshon looks great. Can't wait to see him play. Yeah, I mean, the reports are saying that he dropped like 20 pounds. He's looking good. I'm interested to see that, but I do think we need to wait on him. We can't rush him back. That Liz Frank is no joke, but I'm glad he's getting into shape. And hey, if he competes at a high level for us the remainder of the season, well, then it helps the Eagles, and it could possibly get someone to say, hey, he still got gas left in the tank. I'll trade a blah, blah, blah for him.
So hang on, I'm trying to read. So Joseph, one thing I will say is you can make the same argument though with Sharif Miller, because the Eagles used a 4th round draft pick on Sharif Miller. So I mean, that kind of argument would still apply with what you said with Avery with Sharif Miller too. In terms of, so if I got your numbers correctly, you're going 5 DNs and 5 D tackles. Because you're saying then you would take Toohill and hang on, okay, Osman and Toohill, you're saying you would take them to the practice squad. I'll say this about Joe Osman. I don't think he makes it to the practice squad. He's not a secret. Organizations knew about him when we signed him as an undrafted rookie free agent. There were other players that wanted him, so I don't know that one's a guarantee that he would sneak through. I think someone might go after him in a waiver.
Dang, a lot of people are scared with the O-line, and rightfully so. He says O-line scares the out of me. Another wasted season. I won't say wasted season, because I do think we could doctor this O-line up. Like Gate City said, you bring in Corey Glennon. You sign Jason. Well, you don't sign him, but you move Jason Peters over to left tackle, work something out with him. You get a veteran guy in here. You use Matt Pryor and Jack Driscoll as your backup right guards. Start Matt Pryor, but Driscoll's the replacement for him. And it's not the best offensive line, but it's a lot better than what we're sending out in training camp now with Malata at left tackle, Matt Pryor at left tackle. So it got to be done. You got to move Jason Peters over there. And I'm with Gate City. Go get a veteran to back up Jason Peters because he hasn't been the healthiest guy.
I'm saying I would go get Cordy Glenn. I would go sign Cordy Glenn, and I would pay Peters as long as it's in reason. I'm not saying pay the guy $15 million, but if he's being reasonable about the pay raise, pay him. Move him to left tackle. Go get Cordy Glenn. Put Matt Pryor at right guard, and then I think we're in a much more stable area. You know, you got Cordy Glenn who can be a swing guard and tackle. He can do it, and behind him you got a young guy in Jack Driscoll that can do it too. Then you got Herbig who can definitely play center guard. I think you're in a good place if you do that, in my opinion. But, even the best laid plans, sometimes they unravel. I agree with that, Jalen, by the way. He was definitely making this roster last year.
Yeah. Let's relook season record now.
Oh, you mean like what we think it'll be? Vic, to me, it's the same. It's a 10 win or bust. If the Eagles can't manage double-digit wins, I think it's a bust season.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree. And right now we got 128 people in the chat. Now, again, we are live on 3 different channels, so it might not add up to you guys to see 128. However, whoever's channel you're watching on, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We do live streams, and we also put out regularly scheduled programs. That's what I like to call it. Hit that like button. It's something quick, easy. Click the X off the chat, smash that, and come back and holla at us. Now, here's a question for you guys. Since you guys asked us our record predictions, and we're going to talk about that a little bit, let us know in the chat, what do you think the record looks like? Did anything change to you guys with seeing the offensive line struggles and blah, 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 blah? Let us know in the chat what you think the record prediction will be for the 2020 season. And I'm with Gate City. I said prior to that 11-5, 10-6, and that's where I see us this season.
It's tough, man. I'll say over 10 wins. I think a good conservative estimate's 10-6. I think the Eagles being 10-6, Cowboys being 9-7. That's the way I see it with the Eagles. I'm not saying the Cowboys don't have talent. I'm saying that when the pressure gets on the Cowboys, we've seen them fall time and time again on their face. And I know that they're excited about having a new coach, but as I pointed out in the live stream I did with 2 Cowboy content creators, it seems like to me is that they're putting a lot of trust in a guy who had a lot of similar issues to Jason Garrett, to where he lost the locker room. His offensive play calling got stale. People say a lot of things about Jason Garrett, but there was once upon a time Jason Garrett was one of the up-and-coming play callers in the league. And I think sometimes that gets slept on. That gets overlooked. So, that's just my take on it, man. Just trying to be fair about it. I see the Eagles 10-6, the Cowboys 9-7. I think they're both playoff teams. I think the Cowboys slip in there on that, because we expanded to playoff, the playoffs. So I think they'll get on that expansion. I think they're going to make it.
So the majority of the people got that 10-11 win. We got a couple people saying 9-7, which I think that will be a kind of a bust season. We got some brave guys out there talking about the 13-3s, the 12-4s.
Guys, I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
I would love that.
I would love to be wrong about. I would love to be wrong about that. I really would, because that means we possibly could have home field advantage for the playoffs, which with the expansion of the playoffs, and I think only one team gets a bye now, right?
Only one per conference. Yep.
Man, that's huge. That's a huge advantage.
Anthony T says, shout out from the UK. Great job on the channel. Appreciate you for tuning in from all the way over there. I love how Eagle fans are all across the globe. Appreciate it.
What's up, Anthony T? Appreciate you, buddy.
Yeah, so like I said, a lot of people got that 11-5, 10-6.
Yeah, I think it's a decent, that's a nice conservative estimate. I see some people really confident with 15-1. I'd really take that, but
thanks for letting us know, my guy.
Roll the windows down. Roll the
windows down. 14-3 NFC champs, high hopes. I like that. Shout out to our guy, Philly Notion, who also is a Philadelphia Eagles content creator. Yeah. So do us a favor. When this stream is over, go ahead and check it out. Philly Notion. Motion with an N. If you like what you see, hit that subscribe button. He's definitely up and coming. He's been doing this for about maybe 2 or 3 months. Shout out to Philly Notion.
Notion was with me. He went into battle with me during that podcast, by the way, guys. He's very positive at 16-0. He's saying, tell Miami they're yeah, man, that would be great. Yeah. I wouldn't take my own money down there and bet that, but brother, I hope you're right, man, because you got it. Like, hey, Notion always brings the positive energy. That's one thing I can say about Philly Notion.
Facts. He definitely brings that positive energy. And when y'all did that stream with the Cowboys guys, it was crazy. The Eagle fans travel great because I believe on Sid's channel, he kept around 30 people in the chat, between 28 to 32 people. And there was times where the last 14, 15 comments were all Eagle guys. There was really no Cowboys in there watching it a little bit. So shout out to the Eagle fans that travel.
Hey, are you available Friday night? I would love for that to happen. But
what do you say?
Gate City versus Vach.
Oh, he was good offensive coordinator. Oh, that's not the one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you did say something. You did call out Vach a little bit, not in a disrespectful way. You just said that, you tried to, debate with him after the LOB thing. And he was just like, what he saying? He said he's not interested, or?
He basically, what he said is that he doesn't, from what I understand, what came back to me, because I didn't ask him personally. I had other people do it for me that knew him a little better than me. But basically what I understand is that he doesn't like the debate format, which, by the way, it doesn't have to be a debate format. I mean, if you want to debate, I'm open for it. But just in general, I enjoy talking to guys that break down film. And there are some things I'll admit he said I don't agree with. And I do think he got away with it because I wasn't in the chat to check it. But I mean, look, I get it. I get that, it's not fair for me with only 2,100 subscribers to ask a guy with, I mean, what's Vach got, like 50,000? I get it. I get that. But I'm just saying, I would love to talk to him.
Yeah. And I agree on that note. He's a lot of subscribers, but hey, not too many people can break it down as good as you. So, I mean, for anybody who does like the debating part, you'd be a great opponent in any debate. So shout out to that. Shout out to Philly Notion for the $4.99 super chat. Everybody smash that like button. Salute to the GOATs. Shout out to you, my guy. And like I said, definitely after the stream's over, go check them out. It doesn't hurt to watch a video. If you like it, there's a red button. If not, there's an X button. So shout out to you guys, though. Everybody that comes in here goes right to the O-line. When they come in here, O-line scares me. Yeah.
O-line, yeah. Yeah. That's what we started off with, guys, was talking about. I kind of led us right into that a lot of we got some injuries coming out that don't seem to be too serious, but nonetheless, there are guys that we, generally speaking, we went out there on week 1. But the offensive line, it was the takeaway, as we said, is the biggest concern. Like, we got to get some stuff figured out here. I mean, no doubt about it.
And like Gate City said, for those just turning in here, just coming in now, the best fix for this O-line is to give Jason Peters a new contract, or whatever we got to do to get him to be comfortable to play left tackle. Not no crazy $15 million or something like that, but we have to persuade him to be left tackle and go out and sign a veteran. I'm going to rock with Gate City and take Cordy Glenn. You get a veteran behind Jason Peters. You move Matt Pryor to right guard with Driscoll behind Matt Pryor. You still got Lane Johnson, Jason Kelsey, Isaac Samalu. The line is actually pretty decent then, because Jason Peters plays at a high level with an occasional false start here and there, but he plays at a high level when he's in the game. Now, if he gets hurt, that's where the veteran comes in, plays a couple games until he gets back. But Jordan Mailata and Matt Pryor at left tackle is a no-no. Carson Wentz is not going to survive.
Hey, Jalen, I didn't hear anything about Prince Tega, but you got me looking now. What happened?
Yeah, well, there's Prince Tega news.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out.
Rennie Jones says, Dan.
Yeah.
Huh?
I'm trying to see if there's anything like they might say. I don't see anything yet. Shout
out to my guy, Nick Bray. Yeah, it was disappointing to see how bad Matt Pryor struggled at left tackle. Same with Jordan Mailata. The defense continues to look good in the secondary and on the D-line. And I don't understand how the coach and staff allows an interception and then you allow Jalen Reagor to go tackle Will Parks. You got to blow the play dead. He picked him off. Shout out to Will Parks for the interception. But Jalen, come on. Both of you guys got to be better than that. Now, hopefully, everything that's coming out that we know that it does look more on the not serious side. But again, like we said, it's Philadelphia reporting, so who knows?
Yeah. Appreciate it.
I think he went on yours and did it then too.
Oh, did he? Really appreciate you then.
He's like Philly 500. He is one of the best. Funny as heck. Yeah, definitely. Philly 500 is one of the goats when it comes to Eagles content. Him and LB, two of the best.
Yeah, Joel's a good dude. He's a really good guy. Jalen. Okay, I see what you're saying, bro. He wasn't saying there's any news. He's saying have we heard any news?
Yeah. Gate City went right there looking immediately like, what's going on with him?
I thought something happened. You got me scared. It's like, oh, not again. Not too much. I mean, honestly, like I've seen a couple of reps from him, Jalen, but he looks like he's going to need more work. I do think that they've been working him a little more inside than I anticipated. I thought that they would work him a little more as a left tackle, but clearly he's pretty far down on their plans at left tackle at this point. We'll see what happens there. I mean, I like Prince Tega a lot. I think the underlying skill set is there. I definitely think he's an athletic kid, but I mean, you probably know, being a guy who played on the offensive line, he's got a little work to do. He's got a little time and effort he needs to put in.
Yeah. But like I said, if we do what we talked about with the Cordy Glenn, moving Peters, the offensive line is nowhere near as bad as it was. So that's what we got to do. Again, the Killings topic, we talked about that earlier. That's always an interesting one. I know Philly Notion and Be More Philly got a nice bet on that. I think for $25 or something along them lines. Yeah, Be More was on the channel the other day talking his feelings. He actually did compliment Adrian Killins, but then ultimately said that he's just going to fall short and not make the roster. Me and Gate City are both 50-50, but yeah, Gate. So when do you think you're going to do your 53-man roster?
I think we'll do it like the day after they announce it. I'll probably do it sometime next week, man. You want to do it in conjunction with one another? Hey,
I was gonna say maybe we talk on the outside, do that, or maybe we just release a video or do it live. Either
maybe
or.
Why don't we talk with Philly Fresh? We'll get a little bit of, you know what, guys? We'll try to get the word out to as many content creators as we have access to, and maybe we can make a day of videos with those projections to the best of our ability with our influence, because, you know, I mean, we can't just take over other people's content for them, but we can talk to them and see if they'd be willing to do that. And maybe we can make kind of a bigger thing. So that way you guys will have a day where you can see all these 53-man roster projections coming out. You know, but you know, if we wait until after the first cuts, I think that makes it a little easier. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
It would be cool because then you get to see everybody's perspective. Maybe, you know, if LB, Philly 500, all these guys agree to it, then you get to see the different perspective on who do you got in, who does he got in, who does you got out, all that good stuff. Because we all know people differ in certain areas of the roster. But I believe if 10 people make a roster, it's probably going to be a 50-50 with Adrian Killins too. Probably like 5-5.
That's the hard part is, like, as I look through the roster and I'm like running it through my head, I'm like, damn, who do I put in? Like Deontay Burnett, do I put him in? You know what I'm saying? Like Adrian Killins, like it would be nice to have some clarity on guys like Alshon Jeffrey, because those guys like completely throw a curveball into the roster projections, to be honest. Like they kill you on the roster projection stuff. Because I don't know, man. Like, you know, if they really think this guy's going to be back by week 3, they're probably going to put him on the active roster, or they're going to put him on the active pup and not the reserve pup, which he's already on the active pup technically, but they got until the end of the, you know, preseason basically to not that we have a preseason, but you know what I'm saying. End of camp to really put him onto, to put him on that, basically that inactive pup list.
And shout out to Philly. Yeah, shout out to Philly the podcast, who's also another Eagles content creator up and coming. I think he's been doing it for a couple months as well. And they said we should go live for the 53-man roster. We'll figure something out, definitely. Like I said, shout out to Philly Fresh, who's not here today, for the simple fact I'll take responsibility for that. Since we're transitioning to Sundays, we're going to start doing these before the games. We normally play at 1 o'clock. Now, we will be playing at 4 o'clock and night games once in a while, but we normally play at 1 for the majority of our games. So the Battlebirds podcast is going to be around 11. We start at 11. We'll go all the way up until 15 minutes until kickoff, talking about the matchup mainly, because that's going to be the topic. We're not going to be talking about roster at that point. We're going to be talking about our opponent and how we're going to win the game. But since we wanted to do that, we decided to do Sundays a little earlier, but I didn't tell him that. So that's my fault. And he kind of thought we were going to do it later at night. And Philly Fresh, he's on vacation, so he planned it for a different time. So that's my fault. I'll take responsibility. But next Sunday's ones, you want to do it at 11 o'clock?
Yeah.
So we'll do next Sunday.
Yeah, get everybody ready for when we're going to do it. Yeah.
Yep. I'll let Fresh know. And now everybody who's watching, all 137 of you guys, will be live Sunday at 11 o'clock to start getting in the mode of Sunday football.
First off, 137 of y'all, man, we greatly appreciate y'all, because this is the middle of a Sunday. Some of y'all got work tomorrow, and y'all sitting here rocking with us. So we really do appreciate that. I don't ever want to lose sight of the fact that you guys are choosing this form of entertainment when there's a lot of entertainment out there. So we really do appreciate y'all. This is part of the reason why we kept this thing going, is community here. That's what really makes it worth it. Philly Notion, are you in on that 53-man roster projection thing? Do you want to do that with us? Because I know we can get, Michael do it. I'll do it. Reese will definitely do it. If we can get you to do it, I'll reach out to some of the other bigger guys and see if they'll do it too. We can all set a day of when we got availability to do it, and we'll all release our projections. We can maybe we can even talk to guys to stagger the projections. So that way, you know what I'm saying? Like, you get a couple in the morning, couple in the afternoon, couple in the evening. We'll let the big dogs go in the evening.
Yeah, the big dogs.
Yeah.
Shout out to Joseph Vega for another super chat. He says, Wash, Rams, Bengals, 49ers, Steelers, Ravens, Giants, Dallas. What will be our record after the first 8 games? What will be our first loss, and why? Both of you be honest. I'll take that quick. We beat Washington. We beat the Rams. We beat the Bengals. We lose to the Niners. Beat the Steelers. I'll just say lose to the Ravens, beat the Giants, beat the Cowboys, the first matchup. I think we're going to split with the Cowboys. Now, I could see us losing the Steelers game, but then if we do that, maybe we steal one of the Niners or Ravens. So I could see us losing a game we're not supposed to, but also stealing one of them Niners or Ravens games and getting that W. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6-2.
Oof. Washington, the Rams, the Bengals, the 49ers, the Steelers, the Ravens, the Giants, Dallas. What will be our record after the first 8 games? Will be our first loss? Why both? Shit.
I got 6-2.
I don't like the fact that we're traveling to San Francisco to turn around and come all the way back to the state of Pennsylvania to play the Steelers. And then I think after the Steelers, actually, I thought we had the Giants next on a short week, actually. I thought we had them on Thursday night.
I think that's the exact order right there.
Is it?
Yeah. And the Ravens is a home game. So
let me look. Let me make sure I got the order right, guys, because that's going to impact. You know what I'm saying? It's going to impact what I think in terms of the records. I'm not going to concede the point that we'll lose to the 49ers just because I want to beat that team, because I'm sorry, guys. I know some of y'all might be 49er fans. I don't hate you. I'm not hating on you, but some of your brethren and sisterin have come out of the woodwork all of a sudden, because I ain't here for them for years. I ain't hear nothing about no 49ers. And now all of a sudden, everybody 49ers fan. I find it to be really suspicious. But I do think that could be a difficult game because you're traveling to the West Coast. The Pittsburgh game concerns me because even if you beat the 49ers, I could see Pittsburgh with that defense with Roethlisberger back. I can see that being a trap game for the Eagles. Giants and Dallas. I think I'm going to go. Look, I think it's always best to be conservative. Be conservative with your estimate. I'm going to say 5-3. We're not losing to the Redskins, in my opinion. The Rams could get us if we're not careful, but I like our previous history against the Rams. So I think we got that one. The Bengals, got to be careful with that game. That's a young, talented team with some veterans mixed in. I do think you got to be careful with the Bengals, but we got them early in the year. And I think that could be a much different team later in the year than early in the year. So I definitely think we got the Bengals game. That 49ers, that Steelers, and that Ravens stretch, that concerns me. If that's the order, with us going 49ers, Steelers, Ravens, then short week to the Giants, that one definitely concerns me. Damn, Mike, I see why you went 6-2. I see why you went 6-2. I'm going to say 5-3. I'm going to say 5-3 because I think it's best to be conservative and be as realistic as you can with that. I am concerned with that 3-game stretch there. The Giants are going to be improved, and they're going to catch us on a short week, and it's going to help them. But I still believe at the end of the day, our defense is a lot better than it was the year prior. We're a way different team defensively. We actually have team speed, so I know that we can score. We're playing Dallas at home week 8, aren't we?
Yeah, we're at home that one.
Our defense traditionally has been a lot better at home than away.
With the crowd.
Yeah, no crowd. There's so many variables this season, man. There's so many variables this season. We don't even know who's going to be in the games if there's an outbreak. That's the other thing, man. Like, there's so many variables that can happen. I'm going to say 5-3 because I think it's better to be conservative. And I do think that we're a better later team at times than we are early. I think sometimes we stumble out the gate a little bit.
December Doug.
Yeah. But I'll say 5-3. I'm going to say 5-3 with the possibility being as good as what Mike said is 6-2. But I think it's just best to be conservative in those estimates.
I agree with you. I wanted to say this though. So there's certain teams that are going to have like 25% capacity for fans. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what teams allow fans. I think Dallas will be a team that allows fans. It's just the Jerry Jones way, I think.
Yeah.
So, you play one game at home, no fans. Then you go to another place and there's fans. Like, it's going to give them the advantage throughout the season. But I want to address this. Jay Kill says, can we address that Wentz will be replaced by week 10? Is that really a thing? Like,
yeah, I don't agree with that.
The only way I see Carson Wentz not being the quarterback is if he gets hurt. If he don't get hurt, there's no way he's going to get just pulled for Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts just got our first round draft pick in. Like, come on. Like, Jalen Hurts is not to look. I believe in Jalen Hurts as a player, and I think he's an excellent young man. I think this is a character guy to the utmost. I love the kid's story of like he could have been cooked toast after his time in Alabama and being replaced. A lot of reason to fall down on your face in that situation. He rose back up again in Oklahoma. But I'm telling you, as a guy that has played the position, a guy that loves to watch film in the position, he's got an elongated delivery. He needs to work on his footwork. He's still a 1-2 read progression quarterback that needs a lot of development there. Like, he's nowhere near Carson Wentz's level yet. Like, it's going to take a couple of years for him to be NFL ready. Like, that's not, can he do some things that can help a team, even if he's not to the level of a guy like Carson and those guys? Sure, he's mobile. You miss him on a pass rush, good luck. Like, he can hurt you if you miss him on a pass rush. But I don't think that's come on, man. Like, yeah, he's nowhere near ready for that yet.
Let me address this first, and then I'll get to some other things. Joseph Vega, another super sat. Appreciate you, my guy. He said, we make a statement at the 49ers, lose to the Steelers and Ravens. Hey, I would take it. Like I said, I think we can steal a game and lose a game that we should win. So I like 5-3, 6-2 around there. But Randy Jones says, Wentz will be replaced in week 10 after being up in the game by 30.
I like that one, Randy.
I like that, Randy.
I like your projection, to be honest. That was a good projection, guys. But I'll tell you the game that scares me, Mike. I think it's a complete trap game. And it doesn't mean we're going to lose it. It just means we need to be aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
We got to come off a stretch of the 49ers, the Steelers, the Ravens, to then turn around on a shortened week and play the Giants. Man, that game favors them. If you can't beat us in that game, you can't beat us. Let's just
At
be
all.
straightforward. Like, you can't beat us. You can't have the NFL hand you a better circumstance than that. Unless, let's see. Maybe they're on the road. So maybe the better circumstance. Yes, okay. On the road for them. So the only way this could be for them is if that game was at home. But I mean, come on, man. They're basically trying to give you every opportunity to win that game. Like, look at our stretch coming in there, and you catch us on a shortened week. Like, come on, man. Come on.
I agree.
The NFL was wrong for that one.
What was your take on the Yannick trade? We didn't talk about that at all because it doesn't really concern the Eagles, even though, the Eagles fan base and we all would have loved him, but we knew it was not realistic when it came to the money. But I think it was a second and a fifth conditional round that can get up to a third for Yannick.
So, I mean, I didn't see the trade value, but in terms of the actual value of the player going to the Vikings, he's a good football player, man, and they needed a pass rusher. I mean, they needed one. Let's be real. They needed a pass rusher.
I agree.
For Yannick, however he places the inflection there. What I will say is this. I don't know that right this season, if that's the best opportunity for you, because I do think that the Vikings are a little bit in rebuild mode, to be honest. I don't know that I buy them being a competitor from the NFC North this season, but it's a stable organization that should at least give you an opportunity to advance pretty far. I mean, they seem to do, they got some stability with their coaching staff. I mean, the organization seems to do fairly well in the draft. Like, I think that they'll be okay. But, I mean, hey, he's not an Eagle, so.
That's correct. So when you look at this defense, though, do you feel confident in Jalen Mills being that second safety? Do you still think because I heard in camp he's been playing it really freely and smoothly. So how do you feel about him actually being the second guy? So McLeod and Jalen Mills there, or do you think someone like Kevon Wallace or Will Parks eventually trumps him throughout the year? Like maybe he come in on some 3 safety sets and play so good that they kind of move Jalen out, or do you think Jalen's going to rock at safety the whole year?
I think it depends on the performance of the corners, to be honest with you, Mike. If we're just getting torched on the outside, I think you got to move them. Here's my concern. We went back and we signed Trevor Williams. Okay?
Again.
All right. Do you believe he's any more than a camp body? Because I see reports all over the place. Some people say, he's back. He's going to be probably not the starting corner on the outside, but he's going to see time. He's going to make the roster. He's going to see time. Sidney Jones is cooked. I've seen people say that. I've seen other people say he's a camp body. We needed bodies. He's already been in the organization, even though he wasn't necessarily practicing, but he's been in, so they brought him back. Where do you honestly think he falls? Do you think he's more than a camp body?
I think he is more than a camp body. I think when we released him because we were like, okay, we got these guys, young guys. Sidney, I think they kind of had more faith in him at the time. And I don't know about his injury, his situation. I know he was hurt. I don't know where he was at because when we released him 2 months ago, my first assumption was they found out that he's not going to be healthy or he got more lingering conditions or something and we're just releasing him. But to bring him back means that maybe we had faith in Sidney, that we lost that faith with him just not being able to practice and all that stuff. So I think he has an opportunity to make the team. And Sidney Jones is a guy who, like you said, last year of his rookie deal, he's pretty much, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, besides Avonte Maddox, I don't really know who comes in and plays. Rasul Douglas is good in the red zone and in zone concepts, but we know he can't stay with anybody who's flying down the field. He cannot stay with no go routes. If you run a 4-4 or less, he can't keep up with you. You know what I mean?
I think we're in deep shit if Sidney Jones doesn't work. I'm gonna be real with you. And look, I know people are down on him. You deserve to be down on him. You can't sit there and think that you're going to make a roster in a year you needed to prove it when you're just not getting out on the football field. Correct. I can't even justify that for you. I can't help you. If you can't help yourself, I can't help you for sure. You got to give me film to back you up on. I ain't got that. I got nothing to back you up on right now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to have to go out there and earn it, young man. And I'm concerned he's not going to do it. I will say this. I still believe in the underlying talent of Sidney Jones. I don't know what goes on with this kid with the soft tissue injuries and why he can't play through them. I don't know. But when you put the kid on the field and he's healthy in man coverage situations, he plays well. But I get it, man. I know a lot of people are like, that's all great, Gate. But, dude, you're going to get a soft tissue injury more than likely through a course of 16 weeks. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You probably will. And if he can't play through them, I mean, I don't know what else we can do. I mean, I really think we made a mistake by not making sure that we did something in the draft at corner.
Christian Fulton in the second round, who went to Tennessee. I'm going to be watching his career from LSU. I'm going to really watch Christian Fulton and Zach Bond. I'm going to watch him on the Saints and Christian Fulton on the Titans because two guys, and we did want Denzel Mims until he came out and talked about the city like that. But I'm going to watch their careers because if Christian Fulton is over there in Tennessee playing lockdown corner, oh my God, that would have looked so beautiful next to Darius Slay. It would look beautiful. But shout out to my guy, Cool Eagle, with the $1.99 donation to the channel. He said, "Fly, Eagles, fly." Another new upcoming YouTube content creator. I think he's been doing it for a month or so. So feel free to go check him out. It's free to check him out. If you like a video, hit the subscribe button. If not, then go about your business. As for the people watching this show, we're still up to 127 people totally watching in both live streams because, again, we're live on 2 or 3 channels. So make sure you hit that like button. And if you're new, hit the subscribe button. We don't just do live streams. We do regularly scheduled programs. We do a bunch of stuff. But I do want to answer this one. We're not going to give like a long answer to it. But he said, keys to week 1 against the Washington football team, Philly Mike and Gate City. Do you want to go real quick? Just give it like some of the things that you want to see in this game.
Yeah, I don't want to go too far in depth because I want to say that for the actual like.
I got to get a video coming up.
Yeah. Yeah. But I will say this, Dominique, number one, appreciate the question, buddy. Keys. You know, you've got to alleviate some of the pressure on this offensive line. What I'm saying is, Doug, for the love of God, use your running backs.
Yes.
Okay? Learn how to use the screen to slow the pass rush down. Every now and then, when you think you got them, roll the pocket because looking at this offensive line right now, you will need to roll the pocket. Roll the pocket with Wentz and try to get one deep if you can. Okay? Defensively, to me, the key is going to be on the pass rush. You got to speed the we don't even know who's going to play quarterback for the Washington. They don't have a football team.
Dwayne Haskins. I think Haskins gets it.
If it's Haskins, speed him up. He's a young guy. Speed him up. Speed up the processing time, right? Speed him up. And then to me, the key is going to be, can you stop Terry McLaurin? We do not need to see highlights of what happened last year. Like, we don't need Terry McLaurin running free through our secondary again. For me personally, if I'm the Eagles, I tell Darius Slay, I don't care if that guy goes to the bench, you go stand right beside him. like, I'm not even kidding. Like, follow him. Follow him everywhere. Inside, outside, behind I don't care. Follow him. Like, we do not need Terry McLaurin becoming a problem for the Eagles.
Correct.
In terms of the rest of it, look, I don't believe in their tight end play. I don't think they got enough guys to really work the middle of the field. I don't think they're as bad as people think. I do think that losing Kelvin Harmon for them might be a bigger deal than people realize, though. Kelvin Harmon was a pretty good possession guy for them. He came on at the end of last year for them. He was looking pretty good. It looked like they might have had something kind of going on with McLaurin and Harmon. That's a big loss. They got Antonio Gandy Golden. He's a big physical specimen. If you're the Eagles, just don't let the kid try to high point the ball on you. Like, that's your biggest concern with him. He's not a nuanced route runner. He's just a big physical guy. So you got to get a guy that can get up there and go after those hands and keep the ball away from him. Because that's what I would do if I was Washington. In terms of the running game, I think they still got AP, right?
Yep.
That's where I think you got to be careful with the Redskins. Okay. They went out and got the Washington. They don't have a football team name. They, in my opinion, man, you got to pay attention to Gibson. Gibson is a dynamic football player. I think he's way more than just a running back. Okay. You got to be careful with that because he's a guy that if you focus a little too much on Terry McLaurin, he might get you. He might break a couple on you. You got to be real careful. Kid's got big time speed. He's got big time size. He can catch. You definitely got to play your keys there. But that's what I'm looking for. What's up with you, Mike?
I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. On the defense side of the ball, the pass rush has to hit home. Got to fluster and make him move around the pocket. Dwayne Haskins and what Dan Slover 147 says. She says, "How is Ronald Darby going to do for the Washington football team?" My offensive thing is attack Ronald Darby. Well, whoever Ronald Darby lines up against, go deep against them. I don't care if he's playing against Jalen Reagor, Deshaun Jackson. Hey, even let J.J. Arcega-Whiteside get some of him. Throw the ball to the guy that Darby's D'ing. That's my thing. And to answer your question, Dan Slover, Darby's going to get cooked, and they're probably going to want to bench him halfway throughout the season if he don't get injured. So that's a bad sign that you think Ronald Darby's going to be probably their number one corner. That's not a good – don't feel comfortable. We know. We know.
Yeah, I mean, that's a team that I think lacks offensive talent, but you have to be careful because I do think that they have two guys in particular that are gifted. I think Gibson is going to prove to be a very good football player. I think McLaurin has already proved himself to be a good football player. And that concerns me. Like, you definitely have got it. You got to bring it. You got to bring it against this team. Their defense, they got a good defensive line. Like, in my opinion, don't sit there with Carson being just stationary. I think that's a mistake. And guys, I see some of the comments for some of these people. There's no point in answering some of them. They're not genuine. Like, dude, we beat you with the practice squad. Get the hell out of here. Doug beat you with the practice squad. Do you know that we clinched this division? Okay, you want to talk about what you did in Week 17 against the Washington no-name team? We clinched this division with our starting right tackle out, with our starting tight end out, our starting running back out, all three starting wide receivers out. What more do you guys need? Come on, man. Get out of here with this nonsense.
And if we won 9 games last year with all these injuries, let us stay healthy and you'll see. And for someone saying that Eagle fans are the only people that can lose 2 starting offensive linemen and then think they got better, if you watch this stream or you just probably jumped in, the whole beginning we said we need to upgrade on the O-line. But moving Peters over to left tackle and signing a veteran, using Matt Pryor at right guard, we're not better. We'll never be better losing Brandon Brooks, one of the best right guards in the game, but it is doable. Again, last year, no Lane Johnson, no Brandon Brooks, no Jason Peters in certain games. And guess what? We still won football games. So the O-line ain't going to be as good as we thought, but it's still not as bad as some of the other teams have because we've won games without Lane, without Peters, without Brandon Brooks. It's not like we never played without Brandon Brooks before. So I do know when you got guys who can just run down the field, it's going to be easier. Carson got to throw it up in 2 seconds. We'll get it. Again, the middle of the field is going to be so open. Gate City made a whole video on that, how we're talking about the speedsters on the outside, which is true. But the speed is going to make the defense respect you, and the middle of the field is going to be more open than it's ever been. And if you couldn't D Zach Ertz last year, you're not going to be able to D him this year.
Yeah, I don't understand their perspective. I mean, to me, I think they need to be a little more worried about their own offensive line, because you might think that Joe Looney is your answer and he played so great in 2018. Dude, you were a top 10 pressure offense. You gave up top 10 statistics and pressure rates with Joe Looney as your center. Good luck.
But shout out to Joseph Vega again with another super chat. He says Trevor Williams was cut. He said he desires to play. His desire to play was gone. They said he would opt out, and he's amazing. Do you see how his hips move while covering? He should start. Yeah, I didn't know that were part of the reasons why we released him again. But I do believe he has a good chance to fight for that second cornerback as depth. I don't think he'll be able to start over Avonte Maddox. Avonte Maddox is smaller, but still, I think he got the job. But when it comes in to relieving some of these guys, or if an injury happens, I think Trevor Williams could play. And for someone said that when he left the Chargers, he left with an injury, he did. When he left the Charger, he was still injured. He got picked up by the Arizona Cardinals, where he got hurt again. And so, again, we can't rely on these guys who don't show they can stay healthy. But if he can stay healthy, then, I mean, he's better than Rasul Douglas and Sidney Jones probably. So, hey, we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, I mean, I like Trevor Williams a lot. I think he's a decent football player. I definitely do think that there are elements of his game that fit for the Eagles well. You got a guy like, Darius Slay. It helps to have a guy that's physical. He's a physical press corner. That's what he played in San Diego. And if you give him safety help, he's a guy who'll take chances. I mean, I like him. I'm not that overly confident in Rasul Douglas, but I do think Rasul Douglas had good reps down the stretch of last season. If you guys haven't watched my breakdown of these two players, Rasul Douglas and Sidney Jones, I did a video recently, and I think one of the points I made keeps it gets missed on, which is the legend of Sidney Jones grew because of late in that Dallas game, he made a couple of pivotal plays. What everyone always forgets is before that happened and Sidney Jones had the opportunity to do that, Rasul Douglas was having a heck of a game against Amari Cooper. And he got injured. And it's a shame, because had that kept going, we might be thinking about this stuff a little differently than what we do. I'm still not saying I have faith in Rasul Douglas, guys. I still think he's got to earn his way onto the roster, but at least he's healthy. At least he competes. I mean, I want Sidney Jones on the roster. I want Sidney Jones to live up to what I think his potential can be, because I do think there's honestly good talent behind Sidney Jones. But at some point, this young man's got to go earn it, or you're just wasting space.
Yes. Hey, real quick, Mike Gomez says, is Reagor going to get an MRI? Supposedly he went and got the MRI. We just don't know the results yet. But the team did say that they believe it's not serious. Now, I mean, we've said stuff like that in the past, so I don't know how far you want to take that. But news should be dropping later today in a little bit. Hopefully it's not serious. And again, in these training camps, in these scrimmages, if a ball is intercepted, the play needs to be blown dead. There's no reason they should be allowing the offensive players to tackle the defensive players. It's as simple as that. So shout out to you, Mike Gomez. Bird fan 1717 came in and said, what up, guys? The Cowboys have been a joke in modern football. Free agent salary cap. The Eagles since 2000 have 6 NFC championship appearances, 2 Super Bowl appearances, and 1 Super Bowl win. And the Cowboys in the last 25 years, none ya. I agree. Listen, if you are an older Cowboys fan, shout out to you. You got to watch some good football. But if you're like 30 years old, you didn't really watch football at 2, 3, and 4. I mean, you might have saw it on the TV, but you didn't pay attention. You probably started really understanding around 6, 7, 8, around there. So really, if you are 30 or under, man, has it been a horrible 25 years of football. So that's all I'm going to say on that note. I do got some cool Cowboy fans who subscribe to the channel. Shout out to them, the Cowboys X Factors, the Jarek Reeds. Now, of course, they say all the time, I don't like the Eagles. I want to beat the Eagles. But they're not just these other ones who just talk about they're going to win a Super Bowl. The Cowboys are the best team. They've been saying it for 25 years, all that good stuff.
Hey, Patrick Taylor, I agree. We're not rivals. We're your daddy. Just call us Papa.
Listen, because at the end of the day, I love the battle, the rivalry talk. Again, if a Cowboy fan can come in here and just talk, keep it facts, and just talk, it's cool because I love it. I love the NFC East. I love how we match up and all that stuff. But there's people who just go over the top, and I mean, you've been saying Super Bowl for a long time, so I gotta see it. We're going on an hour.
Hey, maybe we're hearing it wrong. Maybe they keep saying toilet bowl because that seems to be a little more accurate.
Oh man, we all know how he makes moves. So are some guys who might not make our roster but would be trade tips or trips. Hey, how he got his work cut out for him to make sure he puts Peters over there, and we gotta look for a veteran to play on the offensive line or be backup to get some depth.
Yeah, it's hard. I get what you're saying, Jalen. It's hard to predict what Howie has up his sleeve. He's really good at pulling off moves that no one can possibly predict. I think I got really lucky on the Darius Slade thing. That's just that one. I think I just thought it was so damn obvious. You know what I mean? Like that one in particular, like there's just no way you can miss that one. I thought, I mean, if you just really followed it, like it just made so much sense there. I know a lot of times people give me credit and they think I work in the front office. I promise you, I don't. If I did, I'd live in a much nicer house. I'd also probably live in Pennsylvania, guys. But to be honest, like it is hard to predict it, man. I mean, who knows what the roster will actually look like because how we can shake things up. And it'll be interesting to see what happens on that front because I don't have a read on what the front office is thinking. Like that's really hard to say right now. I do know that they're somewhere deep down in their mind, they must be thinking we need offensive line help. I do think that like,
definitely. Every time I get a little tweet on Twitter, I look because I want to know what happens with Jalen Reagor, and it keeps being something dumb. But shout out to all 126 who are still watching. Like I said, we're on 2 different channels. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to both the Philly Tall Podcast and Gate City Sports Channel. Battle Birds Podcast, that's what we have today. Shout out to Philly Fresh, who's not here. For those who just came in, appreciate that guy. It's my fault. He thought we were going later tonight, and I did a bad job communicating it, so I'll take the responsibilities for that. We got an hour 52 in. We'll probably go right around 2 hours. I know Gay got some stuff to do, and so do I. But listen, guys, we're going to be starting to do this at 11 o'clock on Sundays. The pregame is going to be lit. We're going to be talking about everything that we need to do and not do against our opponents each week. It's going to be good. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to Joseph Vega with another, in DJ Khaled's voice, another one. Super chat, $5 one. Philly Mike, I asked Mark Holmes, how did he enjoy watching the Dallas Super Bowl on his VHS? They haven't done anything. Dak isn't even signed. Defense is old. Hey, listen, they definitely got their own problems. I will say this. The Cowboys, again, 25 years is a long time. The team they assembled now, I'm not going to sit there and say that they're not good. I mean, the receivers they got are respectable. Dak Prescott, although I firmly believe he's not better than Carson Wentz, can get the job done. And it's really going to be, if Jason Garrett was as bad as they claim, then Mike McCarthy should be a little bit better. So we're going to have to see this. I'm not counting the Cowboys out. Like I said, it's a 2-team race to me. I don't like the Cowboys, but they do got a little squad. So we definitely going to have to check it out.
I don't dislike Mike McCarthy, but I think that the Mike Nolan hire is better than the Mike McCarthy hire. At the end of the day, Mike McCarthy lost a locker room. Mike McCarthy's offense got stale. Okay. And to make matters worse, he was derelict in his duties. He was out there getting massages when he should have been out there on the practice field with his players. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I never heard of Jason Garrett doing anything that derelict in his duty. Like, I see major concerns with Mike McCarthy. Hey, I know you guys think that he had a year off. He revitalized his thoughts on offense. He ain't even your play caller.
Oh, yeah, Kellen Moore still is, right?
Yeah. Like, I don't know that I buy it, guys. Look, Mike Nolan, do I think Mike Nolan is a solid coach and he's going to bring he's going to struggle defensively, I think, his first couple of years, because I think you got some issues on your defensive line that you got. I think you got a lot of two-gappers in a one-gap scheme right now. Mike, two-gap scheme, but he said that he's not playing that. He's playing a 43 front with a one-gap scheme. Well, right now, you got Dontari Poe, who was like 208th in pressure rates. I know you guys look at his sacks and say, oh, 4 sacks, this dude's a beast. Well, he got lucky when he got pressure, but he didn't get pressure often. That's a problem, okay? You drafted Gallimore. I like Gallimore. He played in a two-gap system in Oklahoma. You got issues. When you lost McCoy, you lost a vital piece of your pass rush. I still think you got talent on the outside from the defensive end position. I still think you can get a pass rush from your outside. I'm not saying Griffin, if he can stay healthy, can stay on his feet, he's a good football player.
He is.
Same thing with Lawrence. DeMarcus Lawrence is a good football player. All right. Alden Smith, I don't buy it. You leave the league that long, the game will pass you by, in my opinion. Your secondary, suspect as crap to me. Look, could you be better in your secondary than people are anticipating? Sure, but you're not going to be good. You got issues on the outside at your corner position.
No,
go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
I just wanted to just tackle one thing. And I agree, their offense is going to be good, but their offense was good last year. They had like the third top scoring offense, not scoring, the third in yards. The most yards. I don't know. Anyways, they were third in total offense, I think is what I'm trying to say. And it got them 8 wins. So for Jason Garrett being that bad, I mean, he led y'all to the third highest offense with Kellen Moore. So it's going to be interesting how it goes. But go ahead, finish what you were saying.
Nothing. I just think that you're very suspect defensively. I think you have a good outside pass rush. I think you got 2 guys in particular that are impactful football players and could maybe, if circumstances are right, cover up some major deficiencies. Still think you're suspect. I think you got good linebacker play. Still think you're suspect. Okay? I think you got a dynamic offense on your hand. I still think you're suspect with the play calling, though. I think you've addressed a lot of issues, and maybe you have. Maybe Mike McCarthy may not be that great of an administrator, but maybe he's a better situational guy. Maybe. It's still projection, gentlemen. It is projection. You are projecting he will be better with situational play calls. And by the way, Aaron Rodgers is not his quarterback.
Yeah, because you got to understand, being with Aaron Rodgers that long, I know they didn't get along, and Aaron Rodgers is a hard guy to deal with, but dang, I think that's a failed attempt to be with a guy who's going in a Hall of Fame, who don't got the rings like Tom Brady, but when you just use the eye test, some people try to make the argument that he's still one of the best who ever did it. When you just look at the eye test and the throwing thing and how he can throw the ball from anywhere on the field, you only got 1 Super Bowl with him. Now, yes, granted, your defenses were bad, but still, Bill Belichick has Tom Brady. He has multiple. You know, when you have that good coach to quarterback ratio, you should get multiple Super Bowls. The Chiefs are probably going to get multiple Super Bowls, maybe not 4 or 5, but Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes will get multiple. Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll were at least 2 of them, and they still have a shot to get a Super Bowl. When you have a good coach quarterback combination, you got to get more than 1. And it was a failure, in my opinion.
Yeah. Look, I'm not going to sit there and speculate, past what I think will be 2 playoff teams competing. Okay. I could see either team flipping between 9 and 10 wins, to be honest. My thing is, nobody knows anything because we're living in the we're living in the case of COVID, the times of COVID. I don't know how that's going to impact the season. I don't know if you're going to have an outbreak in a certain city that causes all kinds of chaos. Like, I can't predict those things. So I'm not going to predict it. But what I will say is, from the football perspective, there are more deficiencies with that football team than a lot of people realize and a lot of people are admitting to, in my opinion.
Yeah. And this is what I'm going to be really upset with. Like you said, imagine an outbreak happens and it hits a certain position group. Like, could you imagine going into a game where you have you got your 7 wide receivers and 4 of them are not able to play because they got coronavirus. And then, you might go into, it's going to happen all across the league. There's going to be a team that goes into a game and loses because they had a third of their team not play. And you really can't equivalent that to them just not being good. It's like, well, I didn't have my starting quarterback. I lost 2 receivers, a running back. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be real iffy because people are going to get it. And if you get it now, go ahead and quarantine for 2 weeks. It's just training camp. But get it during the season. Can't have valuable players miss time for COVID. That's going to impact all 32 teams.
Good point, Angry Eagles fan.
Which one?
408.
Tom Brady played 20 seasons in the league, and the Cowboys didn't make a conference championship in any of them. Yikes.
I think that's a good one to close off on here, Mike.
I agree. And we just hit the 2-hour mark. Let's go. So shout out to all 129 people still in the chat. Appreciate you guys 100%. Make sure you show love to Philly Fresh, Gay City Sports, the Philly Talk Podcast. This is Battlebird Podcast. Make sure you smash that like button wherever you're watching it. And if you're new to the channel, especially all these Cowboys fans, hit the subscribe button. And if you want, hit the dislike button because it still lets YouTube know that people are watching this. So I'll take a dislike, 1 or 2. I ain't mad at the game. With that being said, you got anything you want to say, Gay City?
Hey, man, we appreciate all y'all, even the Cowboy fans. We appreciate y'all tuning in. Hey, some of y'all, you guys come in all the time. You talk. It's all cool. I don't mind it. And at the end of the day, we're all projecting. We're all making projections. Let's just be real.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Thank y'all so much for tuning in, guys. We will get back to you guys in community announcements when we set aside the date for the 53-man projections. I will do the best I can. I know Mike will do it too. We'll try to reach out to many guys as we can to see if we can't get like a community-based Eagle content creator thing, go out our 53s together. Other than that, guys, that's all I got, man. And we just hit, I think, exactly the 2-hour mark.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you got. It's always funny when we're about to end and you got people just coming in saying, "What's good, Gay City and BBP?"
What's not rare breed?
Yeah, definitely. Shout out to everybody, like I said. And for people who are just getting in, remember, we're going to be doing this from now on Sundays at 11 in the morning Eastern time. So I don't know wherever you guys at your time frames, but 11 in the morning Eastern time on Sundays. Philly Fresh will be here. Appreciate all you guys. And watch out because did you drop the Battlebirds podcast running back video, or is it coming out?
It's coming out, guys. So it'll be up for you guys for viewing tomorrow morning. I'll probably release it tonight, to be honest with you, but it'll be up by tomorrow morning for you guys to watch. And then we're gonna have to talk, and we'll set aside some time, guys, for when we're gonna do like more consistent uploads. So me, Mike, and Reese will get together, and we'll probably do on more of a podcast style where we're just kind of talking. So that way it's just a quick upload for you guys. But, with a lot of things going on with camp and the start of the regular season coming up, guys, like we're going to try to really push for that for you guys because I know you guys like that stuff.
Facts. And also it'd be nice. And I know LB and Philly 500 had mentioned it to me, but maybe we get another big round table where we get Philly Fresh, Gate City Sports, the Philly Tall Podcast, Laura Brunson, and Philly 500 all in a live stream. Now, no guarantees, but it has been brought up to me in the past, and we might think about doing something like that before the season. But shout out to LB, Philly 500, Philly Fresh, Gate City. This is the Battlebirds Podcast, and you know what time it is.
Hey, BLSG, I just subbed you up, bro.
Hey, yeah, and again, the Cowboys fans, shout out to you guys. It's going to be a close race for the NFC East, but you know what time it is.